All right, welcome back to Reading the Wheel of Time for the first time with the Everyday Negroes. This is episode 6, but actually this is part 2 of episode 6. If you've not watched part 1, stop this video, head on over to the Everyday Negroes channel and watch it there. I do have it linked in the description below, as well as a playlist that you can follow to see all of our episodes in order. So yeah, thank you all for being a part of this and joining in. I love talking with Adison about this. I love reading all of your comments. It's been so great. And thank you, a special thanks to our patrons. My patrons and patrons of the Everyday Negroes channel. If you are a patron, you do get to join us live when we record, and you can also go back and watch all of the unedited recordings. They've been interesting lately. Some tech issues on my part. But yeah, so consider joining my Patreon or the Everyday Negroes Patreon. And I guess without further ado, let's just get into it.
So chapter 46 is called Fal Dara, and the icon is the leafless tree. Okay. As they make their way from the Waygate to Fal Dara, Rand tries to convince the girls to stay behind, but they, of course, refuse. Loyal is also determined to go, as he wants to meet the Green Man. They arrive at Fal Dara, which is a fortress city and is full of refugees. The people seem quite excited to see Lan, calling out for the Golden Crane repeatedly. They meet the Lord of Fal Dara, who tries to convince Moraine and Lan to join them in battle, but she says that they have to head to the Blight. He tries to offer her soldiers to go with her, but she refuses. Over dinner, they are notified that a strange madman has tried to enter the city by climbing the wall. He is brought in, and the Emmons Fielders recognize him as Padan Fane. Moraine takes him off to question him. And Todd's drawing is, I didn't even really mention this, but this is Lan reciting poetry. It's
the Lan, man, has a soft side.
He totally does. He totally, completely does. He's my stone-faced poet. So, all right. So, Fal Dara, we did see Fal Dara in the show.
So, I was excited about this chapter. Because we keep hearing about the Green Man, and normally you have to wait to the end of Marvel movies to get references, but I was like, I'm excited we're gonna get Bruce Banner in this one, man. I was super excited that we're gonna get the Hulk in this one, because I've been hearing a lot about the Green Man and him doing a cameo against the Dark One. I feel like that'll be a formidable battle. But all jokes aside, yeah, I've heard the Green Man a few times. I'm trying to figure out who that is.
I mean, that was one of the questions I was gonna ask you. Who or what do you think the Green Man is?
Right now, I'm gonna say Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner.
But
right.
Hopefully, you give me a multiple choice on the quiz for that. But we'll see. Going into it, I only dance with them. Nah, don't try to clear things up now. No. Don't try to clear things up now. I only dance with them. You wouldn't be mad over a dance, would you? Well, it depends. Are we, doing the prom dancing?
Yeah,
or are we, throwing that thing back? What type of dancing are we doing? For those on YouTube, you can, never mind. I didn't put my back into it. I'm not supposed to. Never mind. Just we're getting out of this conversation.
I'm gonna do a nice zoom on that in the
edit. But in that moment, it's like, technically you didn't do anything wrong, but it just felt like a slimy situation.
Yeah.
Because of how you even brought it up. But now we get into the people greeting Lan, Moraine, and the crew, and saying things like glory to the builders and things of that nature. The Golden Crane.
Yeah.
Other things that they say. And it strikes me as like, we are finally at a city where people universally love the Aes Sedai, because there are not many cities where that is like the universal thought process. There's some cities that nobody likes them. There's certain cities that it's 50-50, but we're finally in a city where they're getting that love all around. And
why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with that particular group. Speaking of which, I'm not going to lie to you again. It's like when you hear one thing, you keep hearing it. I thought we met another Digimon because I thought he said we ran into Agumon. I was like, Agumon? What's up with all these Digimon? I know you told me about some other cultural thing that he kind of built references from. But when he said Brother Agumon was in there, I was like, oh, man. But I think what I realized was, I think this is the group, and I don't want to misrepresent the culture, was this the Asian group that we saw that was defending the city? Okay. So that's what I was thinking these individuals were.
Yes, his name is Agilmar, and he was the Lord of Fal Dara who had like the all the feathers and stuff. Yeah, yes.
Brother Flock.
Yeah. So one of the questions I do have, like, there's a difference in the way that they're greeted in the show. When Moraine meets Agilmar, there's some tension there. Like, he seems a little offended by her presence, whereas in the book, he's like, "Welcome, Aes Sedai, welcome, Builder, welcome, whatever." So there's a difference there. What did you think about that?
I don't know. I think the tension may somewhat be, if I had to guess, because as in the chapters, as I recall, he's really trying to recruit Lan to come back and join the brothers in the fight.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that tension is like he knows this woman and his commitment to her as her warder is breaking that bond that he could have with him be who Lan needs to, or who Lan is destined to be as a Seven King, whatever case may be.
Yeah.
And to helping him go along with his mission. And I'll either further say that by the fact that you can tell Lan is disappointed when he hears some of the things that are going on and the guy repeatedly asking him to join.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious to me that once Brother Agumon ask Lan to go along with him, and he's like, no. He's like, Moraine, we could really use you. And it's like, brother, you slide dog, because you know if Moraine goes, then Lan's gonna have to go. I was cracking up. I was cracking up about that because it was like a win-win. So it's like, bro, you know what you're doing.
That's true. I see, like, Dana in the chat saying that tension in the greeting in the show was so weird for book readers. Because it was so different. In the book, he welcomes them with open arms. And in the show, there's this tension. I didn't mind it in the show. Like, it didn't bother me just because I didn't think it changed anything. Like, it was just like, there was tension and then they were over it. And then they were fine.
So do you feel like it would be spoiler information for you to tell me your thoughts on why you think they had tension in the series, but not within the book?
No, because I honestly think that the reason that they had tension is just because tension is more interesting than not tension. Like, that's my guess. Like, my guess is they're like, well, if somebody you go to a new country and you're meeting the new leader and he's all like, "Hey, how you doing? Let's all have dinner." That's not an interesting scene. Whereas if it's,
that's a fact.
Like, there's tension.
That's a fact.
It's a more interesting scene. Like, that's.
I would say I don't even know if it's a realistic scene either.
Yeah.
Because obviously he knew Lan. I don't know how much he did or did not know Moraine, or maybe he knew of who she was or things of that nature.
Yeah.
But when I first see somebody, it's not, oh hell, blah blah blah. It might be like, let me feel you out, get a feel for who you are. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna be mean, but I don't think most people's interactions are like that.
Yeah.
Are like that. But I could if it's an old friend, that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting that you said tension is more interesting to show out. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I see the Bree in the chat saying the shift to making Moraine a more central character, because as you've seen, like, the books, Rand is the more central character. So it means that because she's the central character, the world needs to be more tense for her. Whereas in the book, the world needs to be more tense for Rand. Like, it's
okay.
That, it just makes it a bit. If a different person is more central, then you kind of have to make it more tense for them. Okay, so Moraine says that she's like, they're going to the Eye of the World. Now, everybody keeps saying that you can only go to the Eye of the World once. Once you found it once, you can't find it again. But Moraine seems to think that she can find it twice because she really, really needs to. What do you think about that?
If anybody can, she can. I'll just say that. I'll say that. Like, when she said it, I didn't even view it as overconfidence. I just viewed it as, if anybody can, she's the one who would be able to do it. Yeah. The only other person I would give that credence to is Rand, and that's because of whatever this Taviran thing that you and the book are getting me to understand. He would just like stumble upon it again. He would like fall off a castle, right, and just fall into the eye of the world.
Yeah. He'd climb a wall.
Fall into the eye of the world.
Fall into the eye.
That's the name of a series. The brother who tripped into the eye of the world.
He Forrest Gumped his way into it.
That's a fact. Yeah. So yeah, when she said that, it didn't surprise me, and I did not believe it. But again, I also watched the series, so it's like I know you're going to find it. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that little tidbit there. Now, I don't know what section you want to go to next, but I was going to talk briefly about the guy who was following them. Of course. My gut reaction, period, was that's Patton Fane. But because I read the series and we get introduced to this guy, the beggar, I'm like, I'm 90% sure it's Patton Fane, but I'm gonna leave 10% for whoever this beggar guy is. So that's what my thoughts about that. Yeah. I wasn't too surprised about that revelation.
Yeah. And like in this moment, it's revealed that the beggar was Patton Fane. Like that's because Rand's like the beggar, Patton Fane. Like everybody's just realizing that that's who this is.
And I heard that, and I thought that at first because I know. But the weird thing about it was Rand described the guy pointing at him. And it's like he had already seen him in the alleyway. So if you see a guy pointing at you, how did you not recognize him as Patton Fane then, though? So that's what confused me.
The way, again, because I don't visualize it, but the way I justify it in my mind is because he knows Patton Fane is the peddler and he's all put together and whatever. Like he's just a normal looking guy. Whereas by the time he's the beggar, and we learn this in the next chapter, all the stuff that he's been through, he looks like a pile of rags. Like he's covered in dirt and his clothes are falling off of him. He's scuttling. He's not walking like a normal person. So
that's okay. That's interesting. It was just I had already had an encounter with Rand and Patton Fane when Rand was not looking good. So it was.
That's true.
I heard the group say the beggar, and then they're like Patton Fane, and this person's like, hold on, so is this the same person? But if it is the same person, why did Rand not recognize him? So that was the only portion of why I was potentially thinking, although I did hear them say both names at the same time, that it might have been somebody else. That was it.
This is when I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they didn't go this way in the show. Because in a book, you can say, oh, I didn't recognize him. But in a show, if you put the same actor in those clothes, you're going to be like, well, that's Patton Fane. Like, you can't.
I got you.
I'm literally having that thought right now is, maybe that's why they didn't do it. Because you can't hide an actual human face.
No, that's true. But I feel like in shows all the time, even when they just cover their face or their eyes, and then, they do the famous pull off. Oh, Larry, it was you who stole the cookies the whole time. Like, even, you know what I'm saying? They do certain things and it's like, all you see is a physique and a different wardrobe. And then you find out it was Larry who was stealing the cookies from the cookie jar the whole time. Whole season, it was Larry.
Oh my gosh, I want to watch a show about the mystery of the stolen cookies.
The mystery of the tainted cookies.
Oh my Lord. All the things you pull out. Stole the cookies. Oh my goodness.
Hey, I feel like that was the most PG thing to
It was good.
To reference.
It was good.
But again, now this is where the story really deviates from the series once again. Because Patton Fane's reveal was one of the biggest like bombs dropped on you in the show. But him just coming up and getting spoken about, then ascertained or captured so fast, was like, either this guy is super strung out / weird, or the trip has really got him not being himself, or this is all a part of a bigger plan because he's right where he wants to be. Hold on, I gotta look at your animated face.
I'm going neutral on you. I'm going completely neutral on you. Well, it's interesting thought there. Yes. See, do they say it in this chapter? Yes, they do. Because in this chapter, they do talk about like he wavers between sounding really pathetic and like whatever, then he'll switch to like sounding like he's above them all. Like that's
a fact.
Multiple personalities seem to be happening in him at this point.
He definitely has a split going on. Definitely has a split.
Yeah. So I think they just went with, in the show, they just picked one of them and went with that. So chapter 47 is called More Tales of the Wheel. The icon is the two ravens. While Moraine is interrogating Patton Fane, our party learns about Lan's history. And then Moraine returns and tells them about Padan Fain, how he is the most vile of dark friends, and he's been hunting them for 3 years. He is compelled to keep hunting them, like he was the beggar and who's the one following them in the ways. He was enveloped by Machin Shin, but Machin Shin let him go. And also, he's the one who brought the Trollocs to Emmons Field. And they decide to leave for the Blight the next morning. And Todd's drawing for this one is... Okay, this is from Lan's history. This is all the people leaving with little baby Lan here in the back. Like the
little Lanakin. If you want to do this, if you want to do that to Rand, then do it to Lan too. Little Lanakin. There we go. Yes. Little Egwenekin, little Nynaevakin. Everybody's getting. Everybody gonna get that. The last name.
You're so trying to protect Rand's legacy. I see what you're doing.
Shout out David Nance. He said 3 years. That's rookie numbers.
Yeah, Moraine's been hunting them for 20.
Moraine's been hunting from 20.
That's true. That's very true.
That's funny. Yep. I'm going to say this. Golly. When I was hearing these details about Lan and Padan Fain, they said this brother has been a dark friend for 40 plus years. Lord have mercy. No. We have to upgrade names at that point. You're not a dark friend. You're a dark family. You know what I'm saying? You dark fam at that point. 40 plus years. And they also said this brother was going to, he was going to follow them all the way into the grave. Lord have mercy. I mean, and I get it. I mean, because we've been hearing subtle instances of this guy on the pursuit of them the entire book thus far. And it's crazy to think that we're coming closer to the end of book 1. That's crazy to think. But yeah, his details are wild. The only thing though is I don't know if I believe everything that Moraine pulled from him. And I'm not saying Moraine's lying.
But he could be lying.
Yes. And the reason I say that is, remember, in the series, he appeared to have control over the fades. He appeared, even though there's nothing that was said, just him kind of sitting there and them doing the evil bidding. And even as he was just kind of sitting on the throne towards, and I know we're getting towards the end of the book, I'll be careful of what I speak on. Just his disposition in that moment did not strike me as a guy who was under their control. Like the Trollocs are obviously under the phase controls. So when I hear this story, although it does feel a little bit bad for him, this is one of those moments where I say this is a dumb TV moment. I'm not talking to Padan Fain. Off with his head right now. We need to get this over with. Like, I know the brother is split. The brother has already told us he's going to keep pursuing us. The brother, he's going in and out of character profiles. No, brother, he needed a haircut in the episode. So I figured in a book, just chop his whole head off. You know what I'm saying? It's a win-win. He can get the haircut he needed in the show, and he can do the same thing that he did to the sisters in the series with the fades. Goodness gracious. So,
yeah, that's true. They just, because she knows, like, whether he told her the truth or not, the fact that he admits to being a dark friend in pretty much all of this world, that's like a death sentence. So they didn't. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, they didn't kill him.
That's a fact.
I never even thought about why they didn't kill him because interrogate him, I suppose. But yeah,
I understand the interrogation. It was just, I've heard Moraine speak very confidently about a lot of things, but directly about a particular person's history, this is the most she's kind of like dove in. Like she gave this man's whole backstory of who he was, maybe even some reasons why you should feel bad for him, all of that, even some things that she said she wouldn't even speak on because he did some things that were so bad. So it was one of those moments where, okay, I appreciate you, turning into Detective Moraine, but can we please go ahead and, get rid of this brother? You know what I'm saying?
Does not need to exist anymore.
Because it's going to come back to bite you. It's going to come back to bite you in some shape, form, or fashion. There's a small hint of something, though, that I asked you in a former episode. And that is, if somebody gets marked as a dark friend, can they come back? And after hearing how much he went through with the fades and how they, according to him, that is, they did him dirty and yada, yada, yada. It makes me wonder, like, dang, I would be interested to see if you could come back from that.
Yeah. somewhere in these chapters, I don't know if it's this one or the next one, whatever, but I think it's Egwene who says it's one of like the core beliefs in this world is no one can be so long in the dark that they can't come back to the light. It's this core belief. So somebody says it. So it is possible that he could come back to the light according to the catechism of the world. But something seems to have been done to Fane that he, like the word that Robert Jordan puts in there is that he was distilled. Like something has been done to this man that he can't stop hunting the boys. Even if he wants to, he can't stop. So it's one of the things Robert Jordan is so good at is describing horrifying things in a way that isn't graphic. So I don't feel physically disgusted, but it also makes me go, what does that mean? Like, he was distilled. What does that mean? That is like, it's that thing you were talking about. You don't see it, but it's terrifying.
Yes, that is true. And it also, like, even them, and going to your point a little bit deeper, even Moraine saying, I'm not even going to tell you the things he did to people, it's like, what did he do? What did he do to these folks? It's even worse than you telling me he cut their heads off or something. Like, what did this brother do? Did he like stick a pickle in her armpit and put razor blades in it or something? Like, I start going into some imagination or something. I start feeling like Steven Spielberg or something.
Examples you pull are just cracking me up. Larry stealing cookies, pickles, and armpits. I don't know what's going on in your brain.
But it's the unknown. It's the unknown that's scary with that. And I also did, I heard somebody say, Seance and Aranda said those blues are soft. I'll tell you, I would have got rid of that brother. And the icing on the cake to me was when they told the story of he killed a guy just because the guy could willingly walk through, and he was mad because he had to go through. And it's like, what the heck? Like, you didn't even kill him because of anything outside of that small detail. And he's not even on the hit list. You know who your hit list is, but this guy just got hit because of oh, man.
And it made, like, going back a couple of chapters where, like, Loyal was gonna break the lock and Maureen was like, don't destroy it. Like, they were like, let's not harm this man's house, and Patton's Fane like, well, I'm gonna kill this man. Like, it's just sorry. Yes, the classic pickle pits maneuver.
Pickling armpits. Man, and you know it's gonna burn too because the juice is kind of sour too, so it's bad.
But it's terrible.
Please, y'all, don't try that on nobody. You know, don't try that torture tactic on nobody. Goodness
gracious. Put like some sort of warning, like, do not try at home. Exactly. But that story is terrible. But I also want to talk a bit about Lan's backstory.
Lan? Yes.
I had to tell you, I was very, very excited to hear when we got to this part in the books, like specifically to listen to it because of an interview I heard or saw or read, I can't remember, with Rosamund Pike a while back, where she read, like, she did the audiobook after having filmed the show, or at least started the show. Okay. So she, she's one of those, like, she's an actor, like, she embodies the character. So she embodied this love for Lan, like that her and Lan are very, very close. They have a very tight platonic but loving bond.
Oh, I'm sure they had a hot tub scene together. I don't doubt it.
So when she said when she got to this part of the book and she was narrating it, she started sobbing in the recording booth uncontrollably because she was hearing,
interesting,
like, in her mind, she was hearing about her friend's tragic backstory and it hurt her. So I really was wanting to hear her read it. And it was, I don't know. He has a heartbreaking story.
It's interesting hearing people who are really good at their craft and the way that they get so attached to what it is they're doing. This is an interesting situation, brother. I think there's a less positive, interesting situation because the way that I found out about people really getting into their craft was the guy who played the Joker. I mean, he was so into that character that I think he actually ended up taking his life. What's the guy's name? One more.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
I think that was a different.
It was a lot of different things going on. And there was another character. I was listening to an interview with I think I don't know if it's taboo to say. I think Shia LaBeouf at one point was talking about some weird things he would do to get into character and go through.
And the other actor who played the Joker, Jared Leto, I mean, he's now a cult leader, I think, basically, but he...
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
He, like, lives on an island with a bunch of people who... I don't fully understand what's going on with Jared Leto.
So the Joker role needs to come with some
warnings?
Some warnings, and also like you need to just go
Jared
ahead and the Joker role like after you do this.
It was a mess just in general.
you think before? Okay, interesting. I didn't know much about no, I did not know that. It makes me wonder if the Joker, like when you take this role, you have to agree to going into solitary confinement for like 10 months after the filming.
Intense therapy. You need intense therapy.
Yeah. I mean, that character is pretty intense. No because I know a few of these are serious situations outside of the jokes, but no disrespect to them at all. But like some of these characters and their backstories are so deep and dark. But in this instance with Lan, when you talked about how Rosamund Pike was feeling it emotionally as she was describing another character, that's interesting. That's really getting involved in your craft. That's another level of really making it come to life.
She was feeling the love for Lan and be like, oh, he lost his whole family. Like that was what was happening in her mind as she was reading it. So I was very intrigued. And then the moment that gets me in this moment, you see Egwene, like when this story is happening, it says like Nynaeve doesn't ask any questions, but you see like her ears perk up as she's listening to this story about Lan, and Egwene comforts her, which makes me think like, did Egwene notice it, or have Egwene and Nynaeve been like off in the corner having little conversations? Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of off in the cutness going on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of off in the cutness. I feel like the ladies talk amongst themselves about, you know, what their intentions are with some of the guys in the group, and we'll talk about this more in 48 because some things just kind of like happen. Now it's like, okay, all right. But but Nynaeve in this situation, what did she hit him with that? And what did Lan say he did?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it was like, come on, Shadi, we know you really want to know the information. But I feel like in that moment, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like once she heard that story, if she hadn't already, she fell in love. I think at that moment, I feel like that was one of the moments. If she had not already. She fell in love at that moment.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's been falling this whole time.
She's been falling. Falling. But I think she got drop kicked into love right then. It's like, get your behind in there. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I don't care how you feel. You know, I'm letting you know how you feel now. So I think she was in there then. But yeah, what I know aside from Rosamund Pike's narration and reading the Lan story, was there anything else about Lan's story in particular that you wanted to touch on?
Well, no, just like, I mean, it gives you a bit of understanding of who he is. Like, it's he was trained with the sword. Like, what was it? What other children played with toys and he played with the sword? Like, that's why he's so good, right? Like, this has been his whole life. Is basically, you know, being prepared to go and fight against the blight. There's a phrase that they use. He courts death like others court a lover or something like that. Like it's, you know, his story is not, it's a sad story. He's a trauma baby.
It is, but it's funny because like of what we know now, we don't know everything. Well, I don't know everything. You know a lot more than me. He still seems like a good dude to have that type of past. Like there's a lot of people who would have that past and they are bad dudes. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to kill and destroy everything. So it's like not only that, but he actually forsook that big portion of his life to be a warder. So that's why it's interesting knowing that side of things. But his whole backstory completely does not surprise me because of his disposition, how he acts, how serious he is, how about the overall mission and game plan. The only time I honestly think he has or wants to deviate from most of the plans is when it comes to Nynaeve.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the things that I'll be curious to see.
It seems to have caught him
how that
off guard
maneuvers
too.
in the future.
Like
that is a fact. Except for in chapter 48, I guess he just didn't care no more. But we'll talk about we'll talk about that.
It's like that was like a stab to my heart.
What you mean?
He didn't care anymore. It's just like, no.
No, my fault. I'm talking about as care about like masking
I see
emotions.
what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. My fault. Yeah. That's what I meant by that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything like this chapter was mainly we learned Lan's backstory and we learned Pat and Fane's backstory. So any final thought? Like, that's all I've got on this one.
So overall, ending statements on this one. I'm wondering if because of Pat and Fane's backstory, that's gonna come back to bite them, and because of Lan's backstory, is that gonna come back to Carl?
Okay. Those
are the two things that I got from that one.
Not answering your questions. Anyway.
Oh.
So, all right, then I guess we can go on to the next chapter.
Light help me as Jenny leaves me in the darkness. So,
read and find out, mother. Read and find out.
Man, I couldn't go through the what do you call it? I couldn't go through the waves with Jenny. She just keep walking straight. I can't tell you where to go. You'll get there though. Thanks, Jenny.
That's so mean. I'm doing what you asked me to do.
I'm giving you a hard time. No, you're doing a perfect job. I gotta mess with you. I mainly gotta mess with you because of how you made me feel about Tom. That's why I gotta mess with you.
Look. It hasn't been confirmed yet. We just know.
Oh, now it's confirmed now. That joke's over. That joke's out the window. Tom lives, right. Man. I need to get a t-shirt now that says Tom is alive.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, killing me. All right. Well, the final chapter for today, chapter 48, is called The Blight. And we've got a new chapter icon that you have not seen, actually.
Okay. I'm interested to see about this one.
The name of this one is The Blighted Tree. And this one particular, I don't know what that is. Is that one of those swollen leaves that they describe?
The death fruit?
I don't know. It's gross. Our party is escorted to the border by a soldier who is indignant at not being allowed to go with them, especially because escorting them will likely make him late to join the fighting with the others. Our party makes their way into the Blight, and it is hot and awful with rotting trees and gross creatures. They camp out for the night, and Rand overhears a conversation between Lan and Nynaeve, in which Nynaeve basically proposes, and Lan refuses in the most poetic way possible, admitting that he loves her, but he does not want her to be a widow, and he expects to die. Rand turns away as Nynaeve cries. Yeah. Todd's artwork is them. Lan and Nynaeve. My heart breaks a little bit. So, thoughts on this one?
A few thoughts. Actually, one thought I'll go back to. It's funny seeing a few characters. I feel like they're being sarcastic in some of their tone. Like the soldier, I feel like he was a little bit sarcastic because he didn't even want to be there a little bit. I think he wanted to be off fighting with his brothers. And then to go back real quick, Pat and Fane kept being sarcastic with Brother Agumon, I know that's not his name. When he kept saying, "Oh, great Lord, great Lord, great Lord," it's like, all right, bro. Like I might have to smack one of them great lords up about you. I might have to send you to the Lord. You keep on playing with me by calling me great Lord. But it made me wonder: did the king or the great Lord did he send you over there because he didn't want you in the battle? Are you important to him in a different way? Because it obviously seemed like he put him out of harm's way, double folded by the fact that even by the time he gets back, he won't have to deal with serious battle.
So maybe he didn't trust him, or maybe he wanted to protect him.
It could be either or. Maybe it could have been lack of trust, or it could have been because you're somebody I really love, and I just need to. I need to make sure you're okay, even if nothing. I don't know. It could have been either or. But I know the guy was a little bit frustrated about that, and he didn't really hide his emotions. He actually got caught. I think one of the women was like, "Bro, why you mad?" You know what I'm saying? Pretty much, you want to go fight some Charlottes? What's wrong with you? But I think Lan had to explain like that's all they know. You know what I'm saying? That's all that they know.
Like the phrase, like they ask, because when he leaves them, he says like, "Peace favor your sword," and one was like, "That's a weird thing to say. Like a sword is not for peace." Like, well, when all you know is war, this is peace is the dream. That's actually something I was going to ask. I forgot to ask it much earlier, but. When we get to the city, like the city is full of people. They're refugees, but like it's so interesting to me that there are people living in this place where they're right on the edge of the blight. Like, why do you think there's so many people here?
Correct me if I'm wrong. immediately outside of the ways, there was nobody there for a minute, right? Because weren't they like, where's everybody? And then they stumbled across some people.
Yeah.
So you think the proximity to the portal and the amount of people that were there and the proximity to the blight and the amount of people there are about the same or significantly different?
Well, I don't like, because when they were going to Fal Dara, they saw like a bunch of abandoned farms. So the reason the city is full is because of refugees having left because of, I guess, Trolloc raids or attacking. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Something is going on so that they don't feel safe. So they have all headed to the fortress. But it, I'm not even asking this question like, what's your theory? Because I don't know. Like, it just, why do people live here? The blight is right there. Like,
yeah. So that's what I was getting at too. Cause it's like, dang, do I feel safer closer to the blight or safer closer to the portal of the ways? It's like, I don't really know. But now that is interesting because given how dangerous they describe the blight as
in the question in the comments, why do people live in Florida, Jenny?
That's a low blow to my Floridians right there.
That's true.
That is. You know what's funny? When I was a young kid, I would always think that for a different reason about Florida. I was like, why do people live where alligators can just hop out the water and eat you at any time? Yeah. I used to think that all the time because I went to Florida one time as a kid and we would go out in the morning and like literally on walking paths, there would be alligators just like on the path. Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, this does not seem safe. But like anybody from Florida, I guess it's not that big of a thing. They lose a few dogs here and there, spot and go missing every once in a while. Yeah. But
everywhere you live on Earth, like there's nowhere on Earth that's perfect for humans. Like, I live here in Korea and we talk about things like, I in one of the classes I talked about the tornado alley, this part of America where there's just like tornadoes go through every like, why would anybody live there? I'm like, once a year we are in typhoon season here in Korea. Like, it just happens. Everywhere you live on Earth, there's gonna be something that goes on.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And not to downcast today's episode, but even when it's not like natural disasters and things like that or animals, it's just stuff happens. Like today, I don't know how much y'all know, but there was a shooter here, right? Like literally 10 minutes from where I live that unfortunately took the lives of some little kids and some teachers at a school here in Nashville. So that's what I woke up to this morning. It's like one of those things that you can try to go to whatever the place that you deem as the safest, but that doesn't stop certain things from happening. When it's time, it's time. But anyway, I don't want to go on a dark side of thing. I am, that is sad to hear. Definitely will be praying for those people involved in that situation. Yeah. But I was about to say, so let's go from there. Let's hop into the blight as if that's any better. Yeah. But yeah, so again, major difference from the series. We just went in with Moraine and Rand. We going in with the whole Brady bunch. Yep. They all to the blight. Yeah. They all went into the blight. I do want to back up real quick because I just forgot about something. I actually thought if the great Lord Agumon knew who those three guys were from the jump, he would have not been as nice. And this was confirmed when him and Moraine had a situation, and I think he's like the Dark Ones after E3. He was trying to grab the sword that he didn't have or something. It's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Well, who did you just bring into my place? And I had that gut feeling from the jump because he was so polite with Lan and Moraine and these farm boys. They don't know nothing, but hey, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah. I always thought it would be a little bit different once he had that information, but now Rand has already told Nynaeve and Egwene, leave or whatever the case may be, and they're pretty much, oh, you stupid boy. Yeah. Make sure that we have a good time while we're away, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It's interesting because at this point, they are not easily just going to let go of each other. No. Not even, but besides just the loving dynamic of the relationships, the group friendships and the people are not going to leave for multiple different reasons. That's just how closely knit this group has become. But I wonder if it's going to be to their detriment. Everybody keeps saying Ta'Veren and, we got to be here because it's circulating around these three guys. Well, a few of y'all don't got to be here. I don't know if it's better or worse if y'all don't.
Yeah,
But,
well, yeah, and I think that's it. Like, I think there is a loving component. Like, Nynaeve, for example, would never leave them. She's just like, I came here to keep you safe. You want me? No, like, I can't keep you
Yeah.
safe if I'm not with you. So I'm gonna do what I can. And Egwene, she's here for the, like, she's on a quest. Like the three
Gotcha.
boys do not, they don't want to be on this quest. Whereas Egwene chose to be on this quest, so
That's a fact.
she's not like, you want me to like go 90% of the way, and then like what kind of madness is that? Like, that's, you know.
Yeah.
So they're in a different, yeah, it is, this is very different. They all go. So
Even there's actually one interesting thing that I was gonna ask you, and I don't know, you, this may or may not be spoilers, so if you can't answer, I understand. I'm thinking, because sometimes I'll get into conversation, people say, I can't make, don't know how to make friends or whatever. It's like, sometimes it's a good conversation with somebody, knock the cobwebs off, and you'll understand that you can talk to people a lot easier than you think, even if y'all don't have the same backgrounds or cultural backgrounds, whatever case may be, race, whatever case may be. I know why Nynaeve, Rand, Matt, Perrin, and Egwene love each other or like each other. I'm trying to grasp, and obviously we see what's going on with Lan and Nynaeve, and we'll speak about that in a minute.
yeah.
In the back of my head, I'm always asking myself, has Moraine grown to love these kids? Or is she always just strictly on the job? I wonder that sometimes, because it's kind of, to me, it's like, how could you spend this much time with people and do some of the things that people who love them couldn't even do for them?
Yeah.
And potentially not love them. That is the thing about her character, that I don't know if she does or does not actually like these people.
Yeah.
Besides Lan.
Yeah, well, she obviously loves Lan, and I think I said it to you a couple of episodes ago. Because of the way the story is told, especially in the book, where it's from Rand's perspective, but even when it's not in Rand's head, you're in Perrin's head or you're in Nynaeve's head. We're never in Moraine's head. It's
That's
just,
a fact.
So she was never the character whose feelings I was thinking about until the show. And when the show happened, it was like, oh, there's a moment like with the Black Wind, when it's whispering in her ear, where it says, "You will murder these children and call it heroism." And I was like, that, it made me think what you were just thinking now is, was like, through this journey, she's been on this quest, and now she's met them, and they're no longer goals on a quest. They're people. And they're kids. They're kids from a sheltered village that she has ripped out of their safe place. And so maybe she is feeling something in this moment of, like, all this time I've been thinking about them as chess pieces, and now they're people and I care about them. And what do I do?
So the other thought about that I had, that's why I was curious to see what you thought. Because the other thought that I have about that is the fact that the reason why I won't understand that feeling, although I know you said we never get her feeling, I always feel like when I'm reading that I'm in her head, but she blocks me out from how she feels. She only tells me what it is and how the other people, but I'm blocked out from how she feels.
Yeah. And I should just clarify, we don't get her point of view as of yet. It may come at some point. It may not. I don't want to just say that it never, ever happens.
The only other reason I can see somebody feeling that way is if I have to make sure that I don't fall in love with you, because I might have to kill you.
Right.
That is the other side and she's already said that though, but she's already said that. So that's the other side of things to where I can see, because it's like, it seemed like it would slip up like, all right, Rand, have a good night. I love you. I hope we make it through that. We never hear anything like that. Yeah. Never. It feel like it would just naturally slip out sometimes.
It's only been
never.
3 weeks. Imagine dropping like, hi boy, I met.
It's been 3 weeks since they came. So this is why it's weird. It's been you're saying it's been 3 weeks since they left Emmons Field, and now that they're in the blight.
It might be about a month. It's been about a month. So I just imagine like somebody I knew a month ago just being like, "Good night, I love you." I'd be like, "Who are you? Who are you?"
It's fun. It feels longer than that though. It feels longer than that. And two, I'm not gonna lie, you took the splinter out of my hand and healed me. I ain't gonna lie, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I got, maybe you can call it simple. Like, I got love for you now. You know what I'm saying?
But speaking of that though, it's the same thing with Lan and Nynaeve, where like they fell in love in this short amount of time. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a test case right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it totally is. And I think I mentioned this to you last week. The first time I read this book, And I know, I see people in the chat, like I know Bree saw it before me. The first time I read this book, this was the chapter where I went, what? What? What happened? Why? They're in love? When did this happen? When did this happen?
Facts. So I'm completely got to agree with you on that. I'm listening to you though.
Yeah. But like now when I read back, I can see it building. But this is the chapter where I didn't know, like the first time I read it, I didn't notice it. And I feel vindicated, even though I know people caught it before me. When you go into any Wheel of Time, like chat room or subreddit or whatever, people going through the books for the first time, I'd say a good 60-70% of them are like, whoa, did this come out of nowhere? Like, Land of Nynaeve, did it come out of nowhere?
In this situation, obviously, I watch the show, I see how they progress or their relationship progresses. But I honestly feel like I would have already thought that they kind of liked each other. And the reason I say that is Nynaeve always is thinking about how he feels about certain things.
Yes.
That is one of, and to me, that was like glaringly obvious. And then two, Lan is always like, Moraine says, when it comes to something with Nynaeve, he doesn't necessarily say no, but there's a pause before he obeys, and other stuff he just obeys in regards to. So I feel like those were signs. Now, when we get to this situation, I'm with you on the like, okay, wow, we just full out, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Trying to put a ring on it right now? Like is that in the blight? Goodness gracious. Could we have not chose a better backdrop for this? Goodness gracious.
She didn't plan her proposal. She didn't plan it. She just
That's a fact. That's a whole nother level of started from the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Literally.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a planned thing. But at the same time, what it made me think of is when people are about to die or think they're about to die, they might want to just get it out their system. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and Lan and you kind of spoke on this a little bit. Lan even phrased it like that, like this blight stuff aside, the life I'm living, it was almost like one of them thug talk, like like, Shawty, I'm out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Not the bad way, but you know, I'm gonna actually end up getting something that's gonna come to me one way or another because of the type of life that I'm living, and it'll actually be more hurtful for me to kind of develop this with you and have you go through that because it's one of those like I love you so much that I can't love you type conversation.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. And like of all the lines in the book, like people in the chat, they know this. I can quote his speech to her. His speech to her.
Oh, it's that romantic, huh?
It is the root of my love for Lan. It is I will hate the man you choose because he is not me, but I will love him if he makes you smile. Like,
that's
oh
crazy.
My goodness, Lan. You just pulled that line out of your
I can see a lot of ladies out there getting tissue over those bars right there. And I'm like, man, this brother here. But so here we go though. That was done. And they didn't have to have that night that they had in the Wheel of Time series to get to that. So it makes me wonder, like, why do y'all do certain things in the show? And again, this is not even on the woke side of things or nothing like that. You know, they say like sex sales and different things of that nature goes. So I wonder if they wanted to do that because most shows, they try to put, you think that that might have been why that got put into the series like that?
I think so. I think I don't think it's a matter of sex sells. I think it's a matter of in modern audiences, it would feel weird if they didn't. Like it would just be like she proposed to him.
So that's interesting.
Like she just proposed to him out of nothing. Like and I actually had this debate with several people in before. Like they said in the show they sped up their relationship. Like they already slept together. Whereas in my mind, a proposal is much more serious than like she asked him to marry her after a month. Whereas in the books or in the show, they had a night together, which we don't even see. Like it's not even a sex.
Yeah, for sure. And on a scale of but on the scale and get you. So on the scale of shows that really go there, and that scene that they had in the series, that's at the bottom of what some series do.
Like it's a romance scene. It's not a sex scene in the show. Yeah,
but it's one of those things to where I feel like they put it in there because they know people wanted to see if they went to that level with each other. Yeah. And I just remember because, man, I remember like, and it's funny how TV progresses. Lady and the Tramp, man, everybody was excited once they finally ate the noodle and they lips combined.
Yes,
That's all we needed to see.
Yeah.
Look, you happy now you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody satisfied till the whole wardrobe comes off, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a different time.
Yeah.
And
I honestly do just think it's a case of modern audiences would have thought it was weird if they fell in love and they didn't do anything. Like,
it's almost like an expected thing.
Yeah.
But that's why it was interesting hearing you say that one of your favorite things, or that you can recite his whole speech to her. So that's actually pretty cool to see that it didn't have to take that level of intimacy for you to feel how strong his connection or their connection was.
And these lines are literally, I don't know if you're not as obsessed with this as I am, so there's no way you would remember this. But this line is literally lifted from this dialogue lifted from the books, and it's directly in the show. It's one of the few things in the series, in the television show, where it's like, oh, those are the exact lines from the books. And apparently Rafe had to fight to get them in the show, which I'm really, really glad he did. I cried, like, when it happened, because I love these lines so much. Like, just hearing them come out of Lan's mouth, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the root of my love for this character, and I'm getting to actually hear it. Like, I cried, because I am that type of woman. So I like Lan a lot, and the problem with that is Lan is one of those characters. Hopefully not, but when I ain't gonna say, but when if it gets to a situation where he gets killed. It'll be very hurtful. Like, it'll be like, golly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things I might have to shut the book or, turn the show off and not even finish whatever. Hopefully that does not happen. I just know that because even though he is not, like, as of right now, the main character, he's just such I like his character a lot. I like his character, like what he stands for, how he goes about things. I like him, his loyalties, his honesty. Like, there's so much things about his character that I admire a lot. Yeah.
That losing him, I'm not gonna lie, losing him would be harder than losing a lot of the characters that are main characters, in my opinion.
Right. Okay.
I don't want to list people like that to make them seem like they're not important. I don't even know it's a fictional show.
Yeah.
But he would be in the top, like, as of right now, he's a top 3. It's gonna really hurt me if we lose him character.
Okay. Yeah. I will not say anything except that I love Lan. Like, people laugh at this a lot because of who I am, and because of, it's very, like, again, I'm very, very out. I am a lady who likes the ladies, but I love Lan. Like, Lan is my guy. Lan is my guy.
I appreciate you saying love instead of loved. You know what I'm saying?
I've learned to be very careful with my tenses with you. I'll be very careful. You even watch it out for my grammar, so I gotta be very, very careful. I see you looking towards to see what kind of face I'm making too. I can see.
But is Rand just being like a third wheel right now, bro? What are you doing? And they don't even dismiss him. Like he's like just sipping it all, taking it all in. But it's like, because of who Lan is, like that, he's not the type of guy that's like, he's not gonna say how he feels about the person he loves in front of other people. It's like I don't care if you're there or not, Rand. Matter of fact, you take notes because you a Wayne child. Anyway, take notes on how big. Take notes on how. Hey, look. See how Big Daddy take care of this situation right here. Take notes. That's where Lan hit Rand with.
I think Rand was like asleep. I think the implication is that they thought Rand was asleep because he rolls over at the end. Like he's lying down. Like he's.
But the rollover would have got me, because if I see you roll over after I say my last romantic line, I'm taking a rock and throwing it at you. Yes. You're like, I know you was up, bro.
Yeah. It's the only way, though, I think Robert Jordan could get all of this dialogue in, was to have Rand finally overhear it. And I saw Kate mention earlier, it always does get me in the script too, when he rolls over because he did not think that the wisdom would want him to watch her cry. Like that always just like, oh, I wanna crawl into my book and hug Nynaeve in this moment. Just,
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. which now we see that situation, which is a bombshell drop. It was just funny how abrupt that was to me. Then we go to a statement that Egwene makes to Rand, and he's like, "Oh, I wonder what I'll do," and she's like, "You could be my warder," and I'm like,
"Yeah."
Now I actually thought there was going to be a significantly a significantly different response than what Rand did. So when that was said, my thought process was like, "Egwene, what the heck?" I know you cutely, innocently think that this suggestion of Rand being a warder is cool, but because of how Rand felt about her trying to be an Aes Sedai and things of that nature, I was feeling like Rand was like, "What the heck is wrong with you? Do you think my life mission is going to be falling around doing whatever the heck it is that you say, when you say, and how you say it?
Yeah.
Even though I want to be with you." But knowing Rand, it seemed like he would actually prefer things to be the other way around. But I think in that moment, Rand was more so caught up on the story that men told him about them not meaning to be together, and I think he's trying to force it.
We had all this poetry come out of Lan. Rand also, like, he doesn't say it, but he thinks some poetic lines about, like, he's like, "Oh, a man could drown in Egwene's eyes and be happy." Like, he thinks some weird poetic lines in that moment, and then he hears Min's voice in his head. "She is not for you, and you are not for her." Like, that's rough, right?
It is rough when you really think you like somebody and somebody's like, "Bro, there's many other fish in the sea." Or his is actually way worse. His is worse. Like, bro, this ain't yours. Lead us. Like, it's actually worse because people make broad suggestions like, "All right, well, just keep your options open. There's other things." Versus like, you heard right here. I know y'all like each other. That ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot different. And he's actually trying to combat that because I actually feel like had he not had that reading, that psychic, whatever, foretelling of things, that he would have been like, "I'm not gonna be a warder." You're right. You're right. Yeah. I don't feel like he would have because it was funny because he was even reading into the situation and seeing like she needed him to answer her at that moment, and he just did what she wanted. For the sake of making sure that he could, I don't know, get a few more moments with her. I don't know what more he wanted from her, even though he had the insight that they're not gonna work out. But trying to force it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I actually think you're right. I've never thought about that before, but I think you're right. Like, I think it's him going like, "Fate has tried to tell me that this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna make it work." And she wants to go to the tower. Okay, I'll say what she wants to hear, and maybe I can change my fate. Like, that's interesting. Yes, that is interesting. What did you think about the way the blight was described and visualized in the books versus the show?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me this. Because I talked about how I felt about the ways, and I think I slightly liked how it was in the show better, just because I got to see more, and I felt double blind. I actually like the blight in the book way better, actually. Yeah. Way better for a few different reasons. One, there was the stick, right?
Yeah, the description of
There's the stick. Yeah. And that's interesting. And then we see the creature that appears to be too big for the pond that it's even in.
Yeah, it has like hands and
Yes, and that kind of gives me like Witcher vibes. Like if you've seen a Witcher, like you go through it. But not only that, just those two stories make me think we only got like 2 stories, but there's 1,000 other stories about things that could possibly go on in a blight that we haven't got yet and that we probably won't get. But it's just that indication that there's so many things that could go on. Yeah. So I liked it. I liked it a lot more in the book. Yeah. In the book, I will say that.
Did you hear what happened with the show with the blight?
Was that the pandemic? What?
Yeah,
was that
the pandemic?
Okay.
Like I don't think that there's any way that they could have had it in the show be as creepy as the book, just because again, it's that case of your brain is always going to be different from. But they had a location picked out, and I've seen pictures of the location that they had to film, and it was like it's a real creepy forest, like it's an actual forest in the Canary Islands, and it looks magical. And if you lit it a certain way, it would look magical and creepy. But because of the pandemic, they were not allowed to travel. So they had to build their own blight. So it's a set instead of a location. Like that, there's all sorts of stuff that went on. Like they lost 2 actors. They lost location. we'll get into this, I suppose, later on, but they lost things like they couldn't have live actors they couldn't have extras, so that the Trollocs are suddenly CGI. They weren't allowed to touch each other, so there's even scenes that had to be rewritten because they weren't allowed to touch. But
I guess they gave Lan and Nynaeve.
Well, no, I think if you were in their bubble, but
I got you.
If you were in the bubble and stuff. So anyway, one of the things that they did lose was the location of the blight, which Allie, who was in the chat a little while back, she works in television. Like when she heard that, like that was, as somebody who works in television, she had a vicarious panic attack. She's like, losing a location? Like
oh, snap.
Like it's a huge deal. So the fact that they were able to build something, I'm still impressed by. However, I am still on record as saying it was one of those things, the blight in the show, there were moments where I was like, oh, this looks cool. And then they would switch angles and I'd be like, my brain would go, oh, it's a set.
Yeah.
Like it would automatically happen. And I don't know that there's any way that they could have fixed it because of the situation that we're in.
Makes sense. And to be honest, I don't think my dissatisfaction was for how it looked more so than those little details about creatures and intricacies. That was why I said way better. I thought the blight looked really cool, but I will be curious to know is if we do revisit the blight and they do get to go back to some of the other locations that they want to, and maybe say like, okay, well, this is how the blight looks in a different part of the blight or something like that. To kind of tie that in. But no, that makes a lot of sense. I did hear talk, I think through the comments, of how certain things did not pan out the way that they wanted them to because of production and, the virus and things of that nature. So
just messed everything up. So, okay. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this chapter before we venture into the quiz?
No thoughts on this chapter. It was a lot of things happened in a different order than I thought. And to me now, like I said, the biggest bombshell of Pat and Fane coming in towards the end, it's like, so that bomb got dropped. So now my next anticipation is, what big bomb are they going to drop in the book to make me want to go to the second book?
Right. Okay.
It's still, don't get me wrong. It's, even at this point, if they didn't drop any other big bomb and the book ended here, I would definitely still want to see what happens in the next book. Yeah. But I wonder if they'll have something as monumental as the ending on episode 8 for the next one. But I'm ready for...
Yeah. All right, ready for the quiz. Next? All right, well then...
I don't know if I'm ready for the quiz, but
All right.
I'm here.
You're here? All right. I wish y'all can see behind the scenes, because I can totally see Adison.
What are you talking about?
No.
Jenny's going to cry. I don't know what Jenny's talking about, y'all.
I'm going to have some fun with editing this one. All right. So, quiz question number 1. Do you remember the official name of the Black Wind?
Oh, man. Jenny. Storm, right? Because she was a black character in X-Men and she controlled the wind.
That's a wrong franchise.
They had the Green Man in here, so I thought Bruce Banner was making an appearance.
A lot of the names.
The official name.
Yeah. Do you have it in your
go
notes?
Ahead, my fault.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't have the official name of that in the notes. I'm trying to think if I can remember it though. It's at the tip of my tongue. Oh, it is at the tip of my tongue. Hold on. I'm sorry for those of y'all watching live. Y'all gonna have to wait on it. When you say it, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be like so mad. It is not more death. It is not. If I wasn't, hey y'all, I just want y'all to know, for those of y'all watching live, if we weren't live, I would make Jenny wait like 20 to 30 minutes for me to remember it. But in respect for y'all's time, all right, Jenny, what?
It's Machin Shin.
It was, oh my goodness.
Yeah. A lot of the places, a lot of their original names, like with Shadar Logoth means shadows waiting in the old tongue. So one of the things you'll hear a lot of reference to in the books, I don't know if they'll do it so much in the show, but is the old tongue. So apparently there's this idea that 3,000 years ago there was another so it's like Latin, I suppose, but everything is named these Latin names. So Machin Shin literally just means black wind, but it is And I remember that name because I remember thinking the whole time like it sounds like some type of Shang-Chi character or something. Yeah. But oh my goodness. All right, next question, Okay. All right, next question.
Those are ones that hit you like it's a quiz
when you know the answer,
Yeah, like you're gonna do really good, and then when you miss the first question, it's like you just don't care no more.
No.
Hey, I'm still gonna be a good sport about it. I'm ready.
All right. The next question: do you remember the nation that Lan is a king of, or the uncrowned king of?
Man, not the seven. They come to seven. No.
Okay.
Outside of the seven, no, I don't. I'm not even gonna play with y'all tonight.
But you are right. The seven towers, I believe. It's Malkir is the uncrowned king of Malkir.
Yeah, so. I knew the seven towers, but no, I knew that wasn't. I knew it wasn't Malkir though.
Yeah. Okay. The next question's a bit more general. Just talking about Lan's backstory. Do you remember the names of any of the characters or any of the things that came out of his backstory?
No, none of those names. I know, the infant, orphan, there were people who, political unrest, people trying to take over things and different reasons. And I think, I forget if his, not knowing if his parents were not alive, different things of that nature. So no names though.
No names? Okay, there's I'll just go through the names here. There's Esam, Jane Charon, who's Jane Farstrider, King Alkir Mandragoran, Lane and his wife Brienne, and Cohen Fairheart. The name that I thought might stand out to you is Jane Farstrider, because it's been mentioned a few times in the book and it was mentioned in the show. In the book, it's mentioned because Jane Farstrider apparently wrote a book called The Travels of Jane Farstrider, and it's the only book anybody's ever read. Like, whenever anybody talks about a book in the books, whenever anybody in the books talks about a book, 99% of the time, the book is going to be The Travels of Jane Farstrider, because apparently it's like the most popular book in the world. So
interesting. Yeah, I do. The name Farstrider does ring a bell for me. I do remember that name being popped up a few times. So that's definitely more familiar than all of the other ones that you listed.
So he wrote a book. It's really famous in the world, but he's also just a person who was in Lan's. I mean, I don't think Lan ever met him because Lan was a baby, but he was a person in Lan's backstory. All right.
Okay.
So, final question before we get to spelling.
You might have, if I don't get this one, we're going to ask some more questions until I get something right.
Well, all right. Do you remember the name of the soldier who escorted them to the border?
No, brother bad attitude.
Brother bad attitude.
Brother suck it up. Brother didn't want to come.
Yes, I like it. I like all of those names for him. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Man. So what I'm mad about is I'm gonna just make myself feel good. There was a horse named Rainy. That was the name of one of the horses.
Yeah.
What else did I write down?
I see you taking notes. Okay, I want to see your notes. Yeah.
No, that's all I got. I wrote down the horse Rainy. Man, wow. So look, it's always 0 for 0 on the quiz today. Still loving the book though.
Still, yeah. His name is Ingtar. That.
Ingtar?
Yeah, Ingtar.
Sweet.
So Agomar and Ingtar, and then we've got the spelling. And again, it's multiple choice. In the books, Lan says that Lan thinks that he had been planning to camp, I think, just past the Mountains of Doom. Doom. How does Robert Jordan spell doom? A, D-U-M-E, B, D-H-O-O-M, or C, D-U-E-M-E? Doom.
If it's B, I'm going to be mad. Obviously, the regular spelling of doom is not in here. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for me is I'm gonna go between A and C. So let me just say C.
You're gonna be mad.
If it's B, that's just ridiculous. If it's
bad.
B, that is ridiculous.
Yes, I said, because I was talking with people before, like, oh, what would be the spelling word? And then somebody mentioned the Mountains of Doom, and I was like, oh, I gotta put that in there, because seriously, Robert Jordan, why? Like, I don't want you to feel bad about this, because this is a lot of just, why, Robert?
Oh no, there's no change in that.
Why?
Anybody who spells Doom that way, that's crazy.
It's no
That's crazy.
I love Robert Jordan. Why? Just there's no reason for any of that at all. So just spell Doom. Anyway, okay.
So B, DHOOM.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And it's just Doom. I don't know how you would pronounce that phonetically. Doom. So that's it. All that I have for this. I do want to ask what you think, because the next reading that we have is going to be the last one. So things that we are very different from the show. Everybody's going along. They did not have so far. They have not been to Tar Valon. There's apparently something called the Green Man.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah. So, what are you thinking is going to happen in this last reading that we're going to do?
I think, well, it's hard to say that because of the show. I think obviously there's going to be I think the Trollocs are going to pop up and in Brother Feathers. And I think the standoff with Bahausamon and Moraine and Rand may happen there. Okay. But obviously I don't know, because it's going to be weird now that the whole group is going to be at that encounter. So that'll be curious to see if things go a different way and the group gets, because now Rand in the series, Rand chose not to go back because he wanted to kind of keep Egwene safe or not necessarily be in that situation. But I wonder if it's going to pan out that they get separated on a much different set of circumstances after that encounter.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's kind of up in the air, because once I seen Patton Fane come back this episode, I do feel like Patton Fane is going to get free for whatever. I feel like he's going to get free before the end of this book, or it may be revealed in the next book that he was free because of whatever outbreak that the Trollocs and the Fades have as they attack the city. So yeah, those are my thoughts, general thoughts about that. Okay.
Well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the on the final section to see. Yeah, someone coming from the show. I am beyond excited to hear your thoughts on that. So
yeah. This has been fun. It's actually crazy to think that we are approaching almost completing this book. Yeah. That it was in the talks of doing this for a while, of reading it, but now that it's actually there, man, I'm actually really in the WOT community for real. I can actually say it with my chest out this time. I read one of the books.
Yes. All right. Well, thank y'all for joining us. And
appreciate you.
Wait, we got to plug, because if you want some AI art from the episode, let us know in the comments below. This is not for the people here live. Although if you have people here live, if you have any thoughts of what scenes you would like to see from the show in the AI art, because the AI art Adison makes it's mwah. I can't do the hand gesture because I don't have hands. So I just made a kissy face for no reason.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, you might have to animate you in some maybe some scribbly ones.
Yeah, something like that. But really is good.
For sure. Y'all let us know though. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we will catch y'all. Y'all don't want to miss the last episode of the First Time Readers Wheel of Time podcast with me and Jenny. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. See you next time.